that's a good step to take, and I've seen that during that period, that's something that really helped. Like I mentioned, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stop it, but it puts some sort of constraint and it puts some sort of check to you. Also to mention, taking a point that you mentioned, it's a draining activity, right?
Yeah.
It's a draining activity physically, right? It's a draining activity emotionally. It's a draining activity also spiritually. So it kind of fragments you. It kind of makes you out of sorts. Of course, in the activity itself brings some sort of pleasure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from a biological perspective, from a mental perspective, but it costs you much more, after, right? And so it's something that just tears out of the fabric of a man little by little, because really, I mean, sexual intercourse, sexual activities is the way God has designed it. Is supposed to be within the context, of marriage, and it's supposed to be a give and take, where you can enjoy, sharing that with someone. So, masturbation kind of is a short circuit, to that, and there's just something that goes wrong. Do you understand? There's just some sort of short circuit to that, and it has impact, and many people try to, one of the thoughts is that, okay, at least, I'm not going out there sleeping with someone who is not my wife. I'm not
I'm not harming anybody.
I'm not committing some sort of vice. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not. So that's what makes it a little bit of a slippery, topic or
and
issue.
Also, you don't have any danger of unwanted pregnancy coming up to.
Yes, exactly. So it's like you're just enjoying something with yourself and that. So there's a lot of literature that debunks the fact that it has impact. I've seen a lot of things online, where it says that it's healthy, it's good for you, it's a way of self-expression. In fact, that you won't be a good sexual partner to your eventual spouse. You don't know how to navigate your body and stuff. But I mean, from what I know, and what I know is it's not the truth. You understand? It doesn't help you. The impacts of it they are more widespread, than we can ever know. But I want to also spend more time on the solution to it, because it's not just, we're not here to just talk about what it is, what it does to you. Anybody who is experiencing it knows what it does. Anybody who's experiencing it knows, how debilitating it can be, or the impact. So let me just quickly border on some of the solutions, or a pathway, to victory over this. Okay, so I would like to say that masturbation is not different from any other sinful expression of man. You understand? It's not different. So I'm also, so the first part of the conversation I put on the hat of, like, would I say, a counselor, but I'm also going to speak from a spiritual perspective as well. So is not going to, and I believe that anybody who is going through it and wants to come out of it should be ready to adopt a solution. So this is not really a debate as to what it is. It's more like a pathway, like I mentioned. So I mean, first of all, it's not different from any other sinful expression of man. They are just different fruits. You understand? You have different expressions. Somebody who is angry, right, and cannot control his temper is not different from somebody who cannot control his sexual appetite. Somebody who eats without control, is not different from somebody who, somebody who is dealing with smoking, somebody who is dealing with, so there are many expressions of vices and sin, in a man.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to set that context first, because one of the things that make us fall into the stronghold and prevent us from being able to escape is that my condition is special. Right? I like what you said, that you spoke to some of your friends. They even said they themselves, they are passing through it. But when we get that sense of my condition is special, and I put undue attention, because I'm going to take a very unusual route, than what you typically hear. When you think this condition is special and you put special attention on it, it's typical to being in quicksand, right? And you think that by putting more effort, you'll be able to climb out. If I could just put more effort. But interestingly, the more you put more focused effort on that, the more you are drawn down, right? Because it's coming from somewhere deeper than you realize, right? So that's one of the first things. So, secondly, I would like to say that it takes the power of God to break it.
True.
So, but to provide more context, I'll just give a few things to say. So, number one, there are some things that start off as just an activity. If an activity persists, an activity could become a habit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even if a habit persists, a habit could become a habitation. So, and when I mean a habitation, it could. So, I believe in the spiritual as a believer, as a Christian, and I'm just going to put some spiritual context to that. So I would. So when I mean it becomes a habitation, so something can become a compulsion because you've been doing it over time. You master the art. It's something. You can even go beyond that degree, and it now becomes supervised by wrong spirits. Right, so it can even get to a point that someone is obsessed and is even truly beyond. You are being just pushed and moved. So there are different degrees of even this activity of masturbation or any other addiction, so to say, and the degree of influence or the degree of the depth of which that person has entered, right, also kind of informs the degree of deliverance that you need. So using that quicksand example, the deeper you are, the more help you will need to climb out of it. So one message I want to share is that you can't get it off yourself. You can't do it yourself. Right, especially when it's become a habit, or much less when it's become a habitation. You can't. So I know what it means to read books. I know what it is to even be a religious person. And you see this thing existing side by side with your religious life. And it looks like a big contradiction. In summary, one solution I would say, would be to look up to God, right, about this, to look up to Jesus about it. There's a big secret, right? If you recall in the book of Exodus in the Bible, there was a time in the wilderness when the children of Israel, they sinned against God, and there were serpents that came into the wilderness and beat people. When it beats people, God told Moses to make a particular, like a cross. Yes, a bronze serpent, right, or a copper serpent, and hung it on the cross. And the instruction was that anybody who can look onto it, right, will be set free. But it's contradictory to logic, because logic will tell you to pay attention to what is biting you. Pay all your focus to that. If you can fix your focus on that, then you can solve it. But God's solution really is that